Mickey Ball, George Ian, Rob Mary, Andrew Hughes, Darryl Cole, and evening on YouTube, Frank Sinkis. Angie, Roy, how you doing, brother? Drea, Alison, Karen, Dazza, Diana, Sue Mitchell, Colin Kane, Trillion Pound Man on YouTube, how you doing, brother? Tina Williams, Ryan Ward, Keith Shaw, Joe, Ian Sedgwick, Andy Billingham. How you doing, Andy? Tracy Buckland. There we go, and just wait for a couple more to come on, and we'll start. Evening, Rick, Debbie Coleman, Rob Hancock. Just get me on the phone, just in case I need it. You never know, someone might ring. Lynn Cat, Helen Ross, evening Ellen, Eileen Brown, James Kennedy, Joyce. Right, guys, I want to talk to you about the 29th of June. It's very important this day because it could be make or break for this country. Now, we all know Andy and John, very smug, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment, because he keeps saying 10 days, 11 days, 10 days, keep smiling, etc., etc. We know it's not because of any threat from that King's flag of his'n or the business, because we all know what they are now. They've been exposed for what they are. What this is about him trying to get the veterans to do actions on the 29th that could basically bring about PESCO, basically, because any unrest. Don't forget, on the 29th of March, they had 10,000 troops over here for training purposes. Now, these troops haven't gone back. They're still here. They're still training. They're still over here on training purposes. So these will be called in, any trouble. And these ain't like our army. These are foreign army. These will be French, Belgians, etc., Germans. No allegiance to the people of this country whatsoever. This is what you've got to understand about the 29th. If trouble kicks off, it's probably not going to be our troops that they bring in. And then once them troops are brought in, they will stay here, ladies and gentlemen. You'll have brought about PESCO. And that'll be a big well done to everybody who does that. Because these people are misleading you. They're misguiding you in the wrong way. And they're very smug. And rightly so. Because they've got people infiltrated right at the very top of all the groups. Most of the groups anyway. And including the vets. They've been infiltrated, and we know who they are. We know exactly who you are. And top people in the vets, Simon knows who you are. You're all over the King's flag and then pretending to be in with the vets. Big no. You can't be doing both because we want different things. Unbelievable what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable what's going on. Yeah, he has hit rock bottom, £1 trillion man. And that's because, well, somebody said today, I don't know how true it is, He was at the homeless van getting sandwiches and then off the homeless van that's going round. And that's your future king. Unbelievable. But people do what they want to do. At the end of the day, we can only try and advise you and warn you about the perils of what your actions could actually do. This is part of the reason why we are like this, whether we go or not, because we cannot be seen to be anywhere near any violence, etc., because we are constitutionalists. We stand by the Constitution. We want to go into lawful rebellion and do everything the correct way. You have to exhaust all avenues before you go storming the Parliament, because then it makes it lawful when you do. If you go doing it on the 29th without going into lawful rebellion and following the correct procedure, all that will happen is you'll be classed as domestic terrorists. And it'll be classed as an act of aggression against the government. And you will never, ever get anywhere near that building, ever, ever, ever again, to do any other sort of action. So crack on, guys, if that's what you want to do. But remember where you heard action, if you do that action and it fails, and then you can't get near that building ever again, remember where you heard it, because it's silly to do that. We have to go into lawful rebellion first, exhaust all avenues. It might come to that eventually, yes, it might. But at least then you'll have followed procedure. So they cannot say you've done it unlawfully, because you've gone down all the route you've gone down to get to that point. You haven't just jumped straight to that point. And because they'll just turn around and say it's illegal and unlawful because you didn't go into lawful rebellion. So you are all domestic terrorists, 20 years in jail for you, 20 years in jail for you. Whereas if you go down lawful rebellion route first, and then you exhaust all that and it still doesn't work, and then you go and do it, you're within your rights to do it, because you've got the backing of the Constitution. All you're going to have at the moment is the backing of Billy Vine and John Manoa and that flag and his turbine company. And I wouldn't follow that anywhere. Like I said. But some vets are falling for it, unfortunately. But they will face the consequences of their actions when it happens. Because we're there to protect the vets, and we are, and we will protect the vets 100% whenever we can. But if you're acting unlawful and against the Constitution, which that will be, our hands are tied. We cannot help you, even if we want to. We're just trying to so you remain in honour and you do it the correct way. That's all we're trying to do. And we're getting lambasted for it. I wish I had somebody, if I was thinking about that, I wish I had somebody keeping me on the straight and narrow and trying to get me to do the right thing. There you go. But King Krusty, follow him if you want to follow him. If you don't, don't. Yeah, we are in talks with the vets about Kim. We've spoke to Simon, etc. Just waiting for them to get back to us. You know. But it's one of them. It's people want to go storming the Parliament and do it. But there ain't much else we can do other than do what we've done. But that's basically all I want to talk to about that. It's, like I said, it's entirely up to everybody to do what they want to do, really. So we'll look, see if there's anything interesting happened over the week. Yeah, there's something else I want to talk to you about with the veterans. Veteran suicide is an epidemic, and the government is ignoring it. And that's exactly what they're doing. Veterans are killing themselves at an alarming rate, but the government is still not recording their deaths. Unlike our allies, the UK government does not keep figures on how many veterans die by suicide, and campaigners fear it is stopping people knowing the true scale of the problem. In Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Canada, and the US, the rate of suicide in the military is much higher than civilian population. And they do take the veterans into account. Veteran Stephen James believes veteran suicide is a hidden epidemic, and he is calling on the government to acknowledge how serious suicide is within the military community. He told Metro UK, the Ministry of Defence either don't know or don't wish to acknowledge how serious and severe the problem is. We have looked at the figures that they are on military suicide, which is just based on service personnel, not veterans. They report the suicide rate being much lower than the civilian population, whereas the figures we can take, because we include veterans, shows that it's much, much higher. He added, we are the only developed country in our group of allies that reports it as lower. What's more likely that people who are sent to war, people who experience serious trauma, are less likely to have side effects related to that, or that the government have got the figures wrong. According to the indicative figures, Stephen and other campaigners have taken from social media and press at least 75 veterans who took their own lives last year. Stephen said it's not going to lower. Those are the ones we can prove. What is likely is that it's much higher. There are people who take their own lives and it doesn't make the news or shared across social media. We know it's at least one every 5 days. It could be much more. Stephen, 31, and Daniela, 33, set up a support network for veterans called All Signs, following the death of their friend and veteran, Danny Johnson. It goes on and on and on. But basically, they're true what they're saying. Once the vets come back and they've served the purpose, they're thrown on the scrappy. And a lot of them end up homeless. A lot of them die of the cold. A lot of them kill themselves. And it's not right. There's no support network for our vets. And I'll keep saying it and saying it and saying it until this country loses its apathy and starts getting its empathy and compassion back for people like our vets, and starts backing and demanding that this government do things to help the veterans of this country that they've just been tossed out the into the street like an old garbage bag, then this government's not going to do anything. But that's down to me, down to you, it's down to all of us. Start using this, have a voice. Start speaking up for your veterans. Hi, Sally. You've got to start speaking up for the veterans, ladies and gentlemen. These people put their life on the line so we can be where we are today. And we have the Constitution is the solution, not just for the government, for lots and lots of things. There's lots of things that subvert our Constitution. Sharia law is one. Everybody's running around looking for solutions. The solution's there. It's not allowed to be in this country because it subverts the Constitution. So it's not allowed here. That's just one. There's lots and lots of things that this constitution can bring and put right. People are been looking and searching for the answers, and it's there in front of you. The constitution is very powerful, and we're not freemen of the land at all. We know the constitution. Everybody knows that. Like if you're doing 17 or 30, of course you should be prosecuted and sent to prison for, let's say, if you drink driving. We're not stupid people. We're not freemen of the land. But the constitution, some of the laws in the constitution work for the people of this country and protect us. And that's what we use. Like I said, we're not freemen of the land and expect a free ride on everything. There's completely different between the constitutionalist and freemen of the land. Two different things. So look what else is on here. See if there's anything else here to look through while I'm going down. People have got to realise that in this day and age, they don't care about the average person. It's all about this, ladies and gentlemen, for the government. It's all about that. And you are working, I keep saying this, you're working longer hours for the same money. So when you get home, you are absolutely knackered. You've got no time to socialise. You've got no time to, even now, they're trying to get you to buy your shopping online. So you ain't even got to go out the house to get your shopping in. They're trying to isolate you completely from each other. And we just lap it up. Oh yeah, but it's great because if I phone up now, Iceland, I can deliver all my stuff. Yes, they can. And you're going to work and you're coming home, and then Iceland deliver you somebody else delivers something else that you usually get, like a 3-piece suite or whatever. You order that online and that now. So you never ever seen anybody anymore. I mean, I think it was Dell put one on yesterday. Serious question he put, and it is. Who really knows your next door neighbours anymore? Even what the name is, what the kids' names are. And it's true. Majority of us are that busy with our lives, you never even see your neighbours. And I've seen it in America now where they've Justice for the 21. Yes, that's another one. Justice for the 21. Something's very dear to me because it was only up the road. The Justice for the 21 guys. Take my hat off to them because they're still fighting. 73 was it? 46 years on. Still fighting for justice. It's unbelievable, lads. You couldn't make it up, ladies and gentlemen, could you? You couldn't make it up. Yeah. Voter fraud, yes, in Peterborough. I heard about that $1 trillion pound man. Very possible. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Because this government, you're not going to be let out of the EU. They're not going to let you out. That's the other thing. And we told you when you had these voting, not to vote. Not to vote because your vote was voting you back in for another 5 years. Nobody listened. And then what's happened since? All the big top QCs have all come out. Godfrey Bloom's come out. A lot of people have come out, big top people, and backed up what me and Nathan was saying was true. But we got laughed at when we said it. But people ain't laughing when these are saying it. Yes, we do, Richard. It's staring us right in the face, the solution is. But we got laughed at, and I don't mind because I knew I was 100% telling the truth when we told about the voting, not to vote. We've done all our research with the Dragons and it's now with us as well. We will never ever put stuff out that's not true. We do our research and we double check and then we'll put it out if it's true. And we was that confident, and that's why we did it. And we've been verified again because they've come out and backed up what we've said was true. When you look at what's happened. So I'm just going through it. Yeah. You saw that, look, apparently there. Where is it? Turn sound. That's a pizza delivery boy being robbed in the streets in broad daylight. And that's what it's coming to now, ladies and gentlemen. They don't care. Broad daylight, whatever, they'll just attack you for what you've got because that's the way they're being brought up. They're not being taught the correct morals and they're being taught up. If you want something and he's got it, go and beat him up and get it. It's fine. And that's a problem we've got nowadays. There's like I said to you, nobody's doing anything about these things. Nobody's correcting it. I'm just trying to find that again now for you, see if I can see where it was. I've just had it. I can't find it now. I have that many things come up in a... But basically, I've said it all along, our kids, grandkids and future generations will inherit the future that we allow them to inherit. It's down to us as people what futures we want for our kids to have. Whether we want them to live in tyranny and corruption and all this crap that's going on with what you've just seen, beating people up who are delivering just because they've got a bit of money on them. It's disgusting. There was one I wanted to look at and I can't find it now. It's gone. Yeah. And like you see how, like Tony Blair has come out that he's the godfather of Rupert Murdoch's daughter. So you see the circles all knitting together. They're all one big clique. Whether it's Labour, Conservatives, Lib Dems, they all do the same. They'll all take you down and end you up in the same place with a new world order. It doesn't matter who you're following. But only we, the people, can do something about it. Sadiq Khan, I do everything in my power to stop knife crime. Does he Eckers like? He does all to stop knife crime. It's on the up with him in charge. Now, when we went in Fabian Society, packed Fabian Society, ladies and gentlemen, and we arrested Sadiq Khan on the 13th of January 2018. Go and have a look on YouTube, it's there. We didn't have one arrest on our behalf. We did everything right. All the paperwork was correct, the lot. If you found Islington Police Station, It's all on record in there. Tell them the date and everything, and tell them you want it investigated. You've only just heard about it, and you want it investigated. Because the problem was, I think, myself, we was 12 months too early doing that particular action. I think if we'd have done it this January, it would have been a completely different outcome. But back then, not enough people was awake, and we didn't get the interest, so it's sitting on the shelf. But if more people come forward and say, I want to look at this case again, it becomes public interest again, and they'll have to do something about it. So again, we did our job. The people have got to do theirs. You've got to be the guys who keep phoning up and badgering, emailing Islington Police Station, phoning Islington Police Station, telling them, you've just watched a Khan video on YouTube where the Dragons went into the Fabian Society and arrested Sadiq Khan, and that everything is upfront and correct, and you want it investigating. And the more people that do that, it will become public interest, and they'll have to do something about it. But we can't do no more than what we did. We went in there and laid the charges on him, subverting the Constitution. And we didn't just go after him, by the way. We went after Keir Starmer. We went after Kate Green. And there's two others. I can't think of the two others on there. But them was the three prominent ones. Keir Starmer, Kate Green, and also Sadiq Khan. And they was proper charges. Because when the police come, they thought the police was going to arrest us and took us out, but the police took us nowhere. The police looked at all our stuff and went, oh, this is interesting. These are all old laws, but they're still in effect. We're going to have to, this is going to take some sorting out, but you're correct. You are, well, we're sovereign, Michael. The people are sovereign. And this is what people keep forgetting. These people in the Parliament, because the Queen has more or less said, and Gidwala sent to Parliament being sovereign, but she's not allowed to do that without, you know, if we wasn't sovereign, you would never have a general election. Because that's when we lend them our sovereignty. When we vote them in, ladies and gentlemen, we lend them our sovereignty to act on our behalf, to go and do all these deals around the world and everything on our behalf. They got our sovereign. But then every 4 years, if we're not happy and they're considered this, you know, the public dissent and that, we have a general election. And that general election is them giving us our sovereignty back so we can vote for somebody else to go in and act on our behalf. If we wasn't sovereign, we wouldn't get that opportunity. It would just be one regime, just like North Korea, and that would be it. But we are sovereign, and they know it. And the Constitution does work. They've already used it 3 times. Gina Miller used it to stop the Brexit thing. Theresa May used an old law. I can't remember what that one was now. And then Bercow used it to stop the third vote. All Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. So it works when it suits them. But what they do, they try and pull the wool over our eyes. Oh, it doesn't exist. It don't work. It does. It's just that we've got to believe in it and take it to them and say, yes, we want this doing. Our Constitution is alive and well. And it is. But then the thing is, once we've got what we want back, in other words, the government are not tyrannous and corrupt anymore, then you have to come back out of lawful rebellion and start doing everything correctly again, because they've done what they've said they're going to do. But until that day happens, you can stay in lawful rebellion and you can exhaust and frustrate and distress the government in any way, shape or form possible, as long as it's peaceful and lawful. Well, he was subverted the constitution by the way he's acting in there. He's not doing anything for the people. Plus the fact he should never be in that position to be London mayor anyway. It was accumulation of things. I can't remember all the charges I found there, but the pages was about that thick of the different charges that he did. Him and Keir Starmer, and because what you've got to realise is the Fabian Society. You've got the Fabian Society, which is Labour. You've got the Milner Group, which is Conservatives. And then when they all merge in Belgium or wherever they're going to go, that's when the Labour and Conservatives, i.e. the Milner Group and the Fabian Society, they then become Bilderbergers. So they're all pissing in the same pot, ladies and gentlemen. This is what people don't realise. You think you're voting for different things, but you're not. They're all in it together. And they all want our demise. They want to enslave Great Britain and the world. But it's up to us to put that right and stop it. Because, like I said, nobody is going around saying, I'm not going to pay my taxes, I want to live. You're not doing that. You're going to be doing that because the government isn't got your best interest at heart. Like now, Brexit. We want to leave Brexit, we want to come out. Now, if they wasn't corrupt and tyrannous, we would have left on the 27th of June 2016, the day after we voted. We would have left. Well, not left, but we would have actually said, right, we've left, and now we're just sorting out the odds and bobs for our departure. And within 12 months, we should have been gone. Not 3.5 years down the line, well, nearly 3 years down the line, we're still no farther forward. We're still in it up to here like we was in 2016. Because they've got no intentions of letting you out. But once the Lisbon Treaty kicks in 2020 properly, or if any trouble kicks off on the 29th and then PESCO gets brought in, because they'll use it against you, make no mistake about it, they will use that against you. Once that kicks in, you can forget Brexit forever. You will be tied to this EU forever, because all the EU is the United States of Europe in a nutshell. You've got the United States of America, they want a United States of Europe, basically. We're one European master state. And you know by the Lisbon Treaty, there's going to be no such thing as England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. There's going to be no such thing as Great Britain anymore. All member states are going to lose their identity. 100%. You will all just be called Europeans. So there'll be no Scottish, England, Welsh, Irish anymore. You might think there is in yourselves when you're talking amongst yourselves, and that may be right. But on your passport, it won't say British or English, Welsh or whatever on your passport. It will say European. Same as we've always withheld away from the euro. Not anymore. By 2022, we will after be in the euro. 2022, the euro comes in, we've got to use it, we've got to adopt it, whether we want to or not. And then just like 1971, when they did it, when it went from 240 old pennies to the pound to 100, and everybody lost half the money in the banks because of the exchange rate, it's going to be the same with the euro. If you've got £500 in the bank, you'll turn around and it'll be €500. You just don't realise what the situation and how serious all this is. And it's very serious. And this is why we've got to do it right. But again, I can't tell you people what to do. I can't tell anybody what to do, and I wouldn't. I can only tell you what's going to happen by what I've read and what is true and what we've got coming. When I know storming Parliament on the 29th, if people have got that in their head, ain't going to bring it about. All that will do is escalate our fight into the European Union a lot quicker than if we beat them at their own game by going into lawful rebellion. Yes, and you was right not to vote, Sally. And if you watch all the videos now with all the QCs, like I said, and go and watch Godfrey Bloom, he tells you straight what voting in that election meant. It meant you voted yourselves back in. You have now become Europeans for the next 5 years. You all voted yourselves back in. There's nothing too big to fail, £1 trillion man, nothing. We've seen it all before. But lawful rebellion. It's all right, guys. I'm just trying to read some of the comments in the. Well, that's what you do when you go into lawful rebellion, and you sort of withhold all your taxes and everything, and then you starve the beast. Actually, you're starving the beast, so they can't spend any money if you don't give them any. If you withhold all your taxes and everything, they can't spend it. And eventually, they'll have to listen to what the people want. But it's got to be done en masse. It's no good 5,000 doing it, 10,000 doing it. It's got to be done en masse. You've all got to go into lawful rebellion to do it, to have any effect. Just like everything else. Just like if you want UKIP in. UKIP can only go in if they've got the majority of the vote. Just like Labour, Conservatives, whoever's trying to get a foothold in there, they've got to rely on the people getting the majority of the vote off the people. And it's the same with lawful rebellion. You've got to have the majority of people in lawful rebellion for it to have an effect. I'll try, Emma. I don't usually let me bring people on, darling, but I'll try. I've sent you the request, Em. Wasn't it Nathan on the other night? It says it's adding you. But I don't know my breath. It's very funny, but it won't let me bring people on. But if I go on Nathan's, it'll let me in on Nathan's feed. But if I try and bring Nathan on my feed, it won't have it. I just don't get it. It's like now. Oh, you there then? It's actually let you on. Can't believe it. Unbelievable. It took a while though. It took a good nearly a minute to get you on then. So what do you think of all this, Em? What do you think of all this? Really bad. Lawful rebellion is the only constitutional rights that we've got. We've got people standing some decree that people a system that have been more detrimental
than what you're benefiting. There's a lot of shit out there at the minute, and it's wrong, and most of all, when you're getting the backlash of the misjudgment and misinformation, coming back to us by coming back to us to help them. People are not doing their due diligence and they're selling it, guys. Selling it, Harry. What is that about?
Yeah. Well, basically, the sovereign decree, all it does is takes you out of the system. So if you're affluent and you've got plenty of money, it'll work. It can work. But if you're working class, who you could lose your job tomorrow, and you could end up needing the state for benefits, etc. They don't work because it takes you out of the system. And it certainly doesn't work with a disclaimer that says you can't put it in the public domain, etc., because it renders it useless.
Guy, alongside salty craze, we were seeing a red box that it was selling 10 quid it cost $1. The idea of Queensland is
Emma,
people after be taken liberty with vulnerable people and the misguided misinformation is just I so sick helping people that it's wish we folks couldn't hang on, Gary. Because every phone's going to die.
I'm sorry about the line, it's just terrible. Can't really hear them. What I was going to try and do is ring Emma, tell her to turn the sound down on her end, ring her on a phone, see if I can get her on it. 2 seconds. She's not answering.
Hi, Gary.
Hello, right. When you go back, turn your sound down so you can still see the comments, but talk on the phone because you can't hear you.
I've just put my phone on, I just had it. Okay, Gary, I'll do it.
It's a very bad reception.
I know. I don't know whether it's Facebook or what.
Yeah. But say what you was going to say now about the sovereign decree.
The sovereign decree is actually removing people from the system. It's misguiding and misinformation, and I am so bogged down with inboxes of people who've tried to use sovereign decrees that have been rebutted. Jamie Bennett has used a sovereign decree alongside an affidavit of truth, right, which has been rebutted, and he wonders why. There's no understanding of where they stand. You can't use two legs of the legal. There's legal and lawful.
Yes.
You either go legalese or lawful coming on out. You can't do both. It doesn't work, Gary.
No.
Misguided people are paying 50 quid a pop, and my inbox is inundated with queries and questions. They should at least be on hand to answer their questions and answer what they've misguided people to do. I've got 18-year-old couples ringing me up for help. It's not right, Gary. I'm pissed off with it all, in fairness.
Yeah, but we've all been the same.
I am so sick of it. A sovereign decree, you need to have your own coat of arms, you need flag. They're using the fucking King's flag, a maritime law flag. That is never going to work. What planet are we on? Okay, you crown shape and your coat of arms, unless you've got a trust fund, it's not going to work for you.
No.
Yeah, go on, sorry, Gary.
No, I'm listening to them. I'm agreeing with you.
To stand under common law, you don't need to do that shit.
No.
If you're a living man or woman, you don't need to do any of that crap.
No.
To putting that alongside an affidavit of truth, a sovereign decree is a glorified affidavit of truth, in fairness.
Yeah, this is exactly the same.
You can't sell that to somebody. That's got to be written by now. So Jerry has now put a disclaimer against the sovereign decree to basically say you can't use it.
Yeah. Can't be put in the public domain, which renders it null and void, and it renders it useless.
It's a worthless piece of paper that's cost somebody 50 fucking quid.
Yeah.
We can send out blueprints of affidavits of how you go about it.
Yeah.
We can't write an affidavit on somebody else's behalf. It's a statement of truth from myself.
Yeah.
It's got to come from myself. It's a statement of the claim of truth.
Yeah.
It's got no standing, and they're putting American dollar red fox stamps. That doesn't mean fuck all in our constitution.
No.
Our constitution, we use penny stamps because you can't turn it back on the Queen's head.
Well, they can't use American stamp. Don't forget, it's charging £10 for them 70 cents. I think it's 70 cents the worth the stamps, and they're charging a tenner for them.
$78, like less than a quid, and he's charging £10 a pop for a red fox stamp. That means it's got no weight or bearing. And the reason we use stamps on our documents is literally because we've got constitutional rights, and you can't turn it back on the Queen's head. No. He's selling this shit for £10 a pop.
Yeah.
£10 a pop. They're cashing in on it, and they're not on the other end of the telephone to help the people who have been sold down the river, but it's never going to work. But this is the same guy who's put a lifeline clearing, right, a sovereign decree in an affidavit of truth. How many people are you, and where the fuck do you stand? Why would that ever work? It's never going to work, Barry. No. Come on.
No. You don't need all that anyway. And like I said, the difference between a sovereign decree and going into lawful rebellion is lawful rebellion is just showing your disgust for the government. You've not actually come out of anything. You are saying, you know, I'm going to withhold this and that till you stop being tyrannous. The difference between that and the sovereign decrees, you are saying, I want to come out of the system altogether. And then once you come out of that system, it's no good saying 2 weeks down the line, oh, I've lost my job. I want to claim benefits. No, sorry, you've just come out of the system.
Exactly. And advising vets to do this. Really, that means the difference between the sovereign decree is, like you say, you are taking yourself out of the system, and unless you've got a trust fund which is going to carry you through, which most people haven't, it's never going to work. At least with Article 61, lawful rebellion, you've got constitutional rights in the Magna Carta to back up your claim. And you can still claim what you're doing is you're withholding your taxes until the system becomes lawful and legal.
Yeah, but till it steps out to tyranny and corruption.
Exactly.
And then the minute it does that, you have to come out of lawful rebellion. You cannot carry it on. Once they've agreed to do what they're going to do, you have to come out of lawful rebellion then. We all understand, you know, what we've got to do. But with the sovereign decree, you're out of it for life. That's it. Done.
Yeah, and these people don't even have a trust fund. And they wonder why their claims getting rebutted every left, right and centre. At least with lawful rebellion, you've got constitutional rights to back up your claim. And what you do is you withhold your taxes until the lawful system is in place. We all want our brains empty, Gary. We all want the council to maintain whatever, you know. What they don't understand is when you put yourself under a sovereign decree or a trust fund, you take yourself completely out of the system. So if you want the NHS or you want to access benefits, you can't do that anymore. And they don't understand that. And these people are online giving it large, saying, buy a sovereign decree for 50 quid and another £10 for a stamp. That is actually going to be worthless to you, and it's more detrimental to your health than anything else. It's crazy. I can't believe these people are getting away with it. They're scammers. It's
like this motu proprio. All you're doing is signing yourself and your kids over to the Vatican, and they're the biggest child trafficking ring in the world. I mean, why would you ever want to do that for? Really?
No idea. The Vatican is the biggest. There's 3 cities. There's London City, Washington DC, and Vatican City. Cities within cities. These are child trafficking, paedophilia, and all the drugs trafficking agencies, and it's proven it's bad.
Yeah.
Why the hell would you want to put yourself into the motor prior to them? And people don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
They've got no understanding. They just couldn't make it up. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to be yourself and stand as a living man or woman, and you'll be all right. These people are selling people shit to make money off. There's a lot of people scared of what's going on at the minute. People slapdash going into things, but they're actually buying things that have got no meaning or morals to them, and they don't know what they're doing.
No.
People need to understand the standing. You can't stand on a common law, do a 7-3 and an affidavit. It's never going to work.
No, because when you do a sovereign decree again, you're pledging to the Vatican. You are saying, and with these, well, I've just said, I can't get it out half the time that word, but both of those documents put you in with the Vatican. Now the Vatican's got nothing to do with common law, not at all. So all these people who are doing all these documents, what you don't realise is you're signing out to the very system that's there to protect you. And these Andy and John are pushing it. Oh, you couldn't make it up, Em. You there?
I'm not sure if it's Facebook or...
I can hear you, carry on.
Can you hear it? You're right. It's been right since the 9th century. Foreborn, it's got the books of Enoch. There's loads of stuff that's held within Vatican City. It's one of the only 3 cities that is within cities. And why would you put yourself under that realm? Because that's a different jurisdiction. That's why London Police are completely different to your regular constables.
Yes, City London is completely different.
It is, and they are policy enforcement officers. They enforce policies, acts and statutes which are not relevant to living men and women. People don't realise what they're doing, and to do a sovereign decree is saying they're fighting a legal system. Well, they're actually putting themselves in commerce, a commercial situation, which you're not obliged to do. Law is land, air and water. You don't need a sovereign decree. You need to stand and understand where you stand within the system, and you do not have to do or conform to any of that. You can live your life quite happily. You've got entitlement to land, air and water. It's a goddamn given right. The government didn't buy the world. Did the government buy the world off Jesus? No, they didn't. Right? They're charging us for this pleasure, and it's wrong on every level.
Wave is right. Wave is 100% right. Sovereign decree is paper terrorism, ladies and gentlemen.
It absolutely is. And the reason for war on both sides of the war, the fund and back every side of every war since the 1700s, the Bilderberg, Rothschilds, Rockefeller Association. People need to understand what's going on here and how many people are ruining the world. There's only 8% of them. About 20 fucking snipers would sort it out, Gary. But we need to understand what's actually going on, because to stand under the Vatican City or Washington DC or the City of London, you were funding and backing terrorism and the Agenda 21, the Agenda 30.
And going back to these 2 pair of scumbags, Andy and John, you know what they're trying to do on the 29th, because it all comes back, and I don't forget like you, Em. All this all kicked off with them because you asked a simple question about PESCO, and they are trying to implement PESCO on the 29th by trying to get people to try and do actions that's going to bring disruption on the streets, so they get the foreign boots on here. We ain't stupid. We know what their agenda is. Yeah,
absolutely. Gary, PESCO's being signed for now. And look at France, look at the European army. They are like terminated. We've got foreign military on our streets who are prepared to. We've got no other allegiance. and they're happy to turn the guns on us. Passports was a massive concern, and it's actually gone through now, I believe. The veterans are coming out in force on the 29th, which is great, and the veterans are the only people that have probably got the power to change what is going on. And if nothing happens on the 29th, it's going to probably be civil war, in my opinion. That's where I'm making what's going on.
But what we've got to try and do first, then, if we can get enough people, even if just 5-6 million, just the vets in lawful rebellion, stop paying the taxes first. You've exhausted every avenue first, so it makes it legal and it makes it lawful what you do then. But if you're not in lawful rebellion and you just go storming and kicking off on the 29th, you're going to be, they're going to want to see the other side of a prison bar, some of them, for 20 years, because they've all broke the rules, they've all committed treason, domestic terrorism, you name it, they'll commit it.
Absolutely. Gary, if people go strong in Parliament, it's going to end up in a terrible mess. Right. Local rebellion holds constitutional rights. We've got goddamn good rights, and we've got this treaty in the Magna Carta of 1215 that we can abide by and follow when government's treasonous. We need to get as many people as possible under lawful rebellion and as many people as possible. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, it probably is. In a push. Why is nobody taking note? I don't know, because that's the only lawful remedy. And that was given to us to make sure we weren't moved by a terrorist government. So if people are not using it, then they're fucking daft. Yeah. We need to get on board lawful rebellion.
Yeah.
This is our way forward, and it's the right way to do it. We've got constitutional rights to back it up. We've got common law to back it up. This is our only avenue of escape. You go and storm Parliament, they're going to get fucking turned over.
Yeah.
Shot in the head, it's stupid.
And then where will Andy be, though? Andy will be back in his safety in Greece. He won't take no flack.
Andy couldn't give a shit. Andy's more worried about where he's going to get his fucking money from, because he's put his house in fucking John Manoa's crap. And if anybody does 10 minutes due diligence under the new powerhouse, they will say, these guys, John Manoa's been at it for 10 years. This is a massive scam. Where are they going, Gary? They've got nowhere to go. They've tried this, they've tried that. What have they achieved? They've achieved nothing. They've set up pretend courts in Costa Coffee courts. They're making it up as they go along. They're not achieving anything. He's certainly not anywhere near becoming part of a monarchy.
Thomas said it's not gone through yet. Actually, PESCO hasn't yet. What it is, they've got all the paperwork and that set up and in place, but it's not gone through because they need us to be tied to the EU in some way to make that happen. Well, on the 29th, if they kick off, that could be the spark that brings it in, because they'd say they've had a domestic terrorism threat and they need to up security, and they'll put foreign boots on the land instead of our own. That's what I think will happen.
Well, that's my opinion. That's the danger, because we're going to have people on our streets with no author allegiance, foreign militants on our street without author allegiance, happy to turn the guns. Thomas is probably right, because there's been no Brexit outcome as such, which we know we left on the 29th of March. But there's been no clarification of that. Although Robin Tilbrook's got his case going through, which I'm disgruntled about, because he's an MEP. Same as Tommy Robinson, it just doesn't sit right. But until the UK sign over properly, the EU have created this European army, but until there's an outcome on Brexit, and I like Thomas because Thomas is a vet, and he knows the situation. We've tried to take the tunnel from both ends. We've got Pomerant, which is a yellow vet from France, and Thomas White. We've both tried to take both sides of the tunnel, but there's been too many police to actually let us shut the tunnel down, which would have been massive impact on the economy and everything else. I do believe Thomas is right in what he's saying, but we're coming very close.
Yeah, we are coming very close. And Paul Brown, yes, you are right. The bankers bankers and all the corruption comes from Westminster. Yes, it does, and we know that. That's why we've got to go into lawful rebellion and get rid of them and bring it back into right. And yes, Wavy, you are right. Eddie's played a big part in this. And everybody don't realise that, but he has.
Yeah, Eddie is not okay.
No.
And people look a lot. And that's what it was fine. And I've contacted Danny a few times over the past few months about various things, and even notes recently, to see what's going on now. We've got a lawful remedy, and it's lawful rebellion. We've got constitutional rights, but unless people start using them, we've got the likes of Gerard Batten who won't share a stage with Scully.
No.
He's written 3 books on it, but he won't share a stage. He won't talk about PESCO. He won't talk about the Lisbon Treaty. He won't talk about Agenda 21, Agenda 30. You've got to question what is their agenda, because it's not for the people, by the people. And we do what we do for them, as you would have seen. So, but I do believe in what you say. Read some more comments, Gary, because I can't say this.
Yeah. Well, like Andy keeps saying, and he keeps saying, keep smiling. 12 days, 11 days, TikTok. Well, it can't be because of the flag and that stupid business, because none of them are legit. So the only thing he's done, like I said earlier, he's got people to infiltrate the groups at the highest level, even in the vets. And I said it earlier, they know who they are, who are both pilots and trying to claim to be with the vets. And they know who they are. And that's what's happening. And they're in the groups, and what they're doing, everybody who's a bit disgruntled, they're on them, like a Jack Russell. Whoa, come and join us, do this, do that. And he's hoping to get just enough, because you don't need 4.5 million. You only need, 300 or 400, really, to go in and do an action and start kicking off and kick it all off. So it spirals out of control, and then that's it. You got boots on the ground all around Parliament, etc., and you'll never get near that place again. And then Andy will have done his job, what he's here to do, which I think been all along, because he didn't like it when you brought up PESCO, and I'll never forget that.
No, he didn't like it at all, and he thought it was unreal, and that scuppered his plans. PESCO has scuppered everybody's plans, but more so their plans, because they think the need to buy out the naval forces and the army, and they don't even need to do that. If he has claim to the throne or heir to the throne, they need to go to the Ministry of Defence for this paperwork, and they would actually help him overthrow. He hasn't got that. He's got paperwork copies of shit document. It's named Jack Shit. He's using an admiral naval flag, which means Jack Shit.
Yeah.
The news it was asked, which flag do you want to trade in our wars? But basically, that's what we got. It's an 8-pointed star satanical flag, and they're trying to use it was a trade flag to trade in our wars. They're trying to use that. See, they've got fucking crown shit now.
I'll tell you what, it's a magic flag, because it's a sea flag, it's a land flag, it's an admiralty flag, it's common law flag, it's this flag, it's that flag. I'll tell you what,
you couldn't make it up. That flag, common law, if it fucking slaps them around the face with a fucking bucket. Common law, you can't look up a common law court, man, in the road cost, it's just a fucking court.
But don't forget, there's another Costa Coffee Court on the 29th.
Honestly, I can't believe they're still going with this shit. People are buying it. This is not justice, man. If anybody, they don't know a fuck all about common law. They're saying common law is very why? Whilst he's been vexatious, he's been malice, he's been, fraudulent. That's not common law, man. The fuck are these people on? It
makes me laugh when he says we're all Satanists, we're all Freemasons, and yet when you look into the bloke they're actually following, King William IV, he was a master Freemason. He had his own lodge.
The highest order.
Yeah.
Hilarious. People are following this shit. People are actually following this shit. These are not the fucking common law Walmart, in Costa Coffees, and people are buying the shit. They go, don't mock them. They're trying their best. No, they're not. They're scamming people. They've been doing it for
exactly, and that's all it will ever be.
Exactly. Get a fucking grip, and if you know anything about common law, stand under your constitutional rights and get an awful rebellion.
Why do you want to get rid of something that's already here, that's proven that they've got to acknowledge, which they use, which I've said earlier on, they've used it 3 times, so they know it exists. Why would you want to get rid of that for something completely different that's going to turn you into a republic with King Krusty at the helm, which is then, the minute you say anything against him, you're going to have a writ of execution, you're going to have your head lopped off, or you're going to be hung from a lamppost. I mean, what? And people are still following that man, are they? You know what I mean? You can't make this up. Why would you want to follow somebody who's going to treat you like that just because you're going to say, well, I don't agree with that, John? Right, take him to that lamppost, hang him.
I'm sorry, Barry, I'm laughing because
it
is hilarious. Come on, and hang on. The first thing you done with this game is affidavit of truth opens up, and the Republic of the UK. We're not a fucking republic.
Yeah.
What planet are you on?
That's what I said. If you listen to mine, I went, there you go, John, your affidavit of truth. The first line of your affidavit of truth, the Republic of Great Britain, there's your affidavit of truth. That's a lie straight away. So your affidavit of truth is null and void because we're not a republic with a constitutional monarchy.
Of course it is, man. This guy hasn't got a fucking clue. He thinks he can do a Skype call and not a court. No, that's not justice. That's injustice. These people are just scamming fucking the arses out of everybody. You buy one, you get one free. It sounds like fucking, what's that one company called? Safe Style.
Safe Style UK, yeah. Or DFS. He's like DFS. He's got a sale on every day.
Come on, man, Gary, this is not the right. And people are buying and shit. And they're like, oh, King Krusty's coming. What's he going to do? He can't even get in the country. He can't even get out of the airport. He can't get out of his fucking car at the minute. This is you've got to laugh. But yeah, we're going to be hung, drawn and quartered. And that's lawful. That's lawful. And if you fuck up out the country, my country, England, he's from New Zealand, I live in England. I mentioned Pesco now, I need to fucking pack my bags and get out of the country because I've got to train.
Yeah, you've got to get out of the country straight away, you had. But what annoys me is, if this flag was all powerful, like he's saying, and it was ruler of all these countries, and it was this and it was that, don't you think New Zealand would be flying that flag high and proud now? First.
Absolutely. So would many countries. And the thing is, Gary, we know this is a bullshit flag. It's a made-up maritime flag, but they got offered four flags, 3 flags in New Zealand chose that flag. It's not going to work. It's a maritime flag, it's commerce, and he wants to set up a corporate relationship, and he's registered under Company House. Manor Powerhouse is registered under Company House. He's got 1 trillion shares, and he's the only shareholder. What does that tell you? It's a fraudulent, corrupt company. This guy's been at it for 10 years, and people are still following.
And don't forget, in 2013, it was the same flag, but it was a different company that he was using for the shares, and it was King George, not King William, in 2013. And that video, ladies and gentlemen, if you think I'm lying, is on YouTube.
Yeah, it's basically, honestly, it takes you about an hour of due diligence to work out that these people are just completely flawed. Andy Devine he's invested his house, he's got too much money, he can't come back to the UK because he's been extradited to Greece, in my opinion. There's a reason for that. He said he's been in prison and been fraudulent. Yes, he has. And he's put too much money into this shit. And he's now more caught up in it, he's got to advocate it.
Yeah.
It's a massive scam, and it's gone on for 10 years, and he's walked in the likes of Gordon Bowden and various other people along the way. He's been caught out every single time. I mean, I can't even understand a word he says, Gary.
Well, look, he named Gordon Bowden as a sheriff 2 years before he even met him.
That's what I mean. He's been dragging people in, hook, line and sinker. obviously when we'll finish the woods, right? But the include for the people like Jesus and that, honestly, vile, horrible scammers, and people just can't see through past, it's enough to drive you insane, but you have got to laugh because it is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. And he's going to need he's going to have to buy a marquee and get rid of these jackets because there's going to be that many people. He's going to put on photos and names. He's going to need a marquee, not a yellow jacket.
If he turns up in London on the 29th, I'll be fucking highly amazed. And if he does that, God help him, because there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of questions. And Andy Devine turned up on the 29th of March, as we know. I was briefly Gary sitting there. He couldn't answer the questions. They couldn't answer the questions. These guys turn up. We think they've brought the vets over. They haven't. Half the fuck. And the vets is not fucking shit. And the vets are going to be our saviour, in my opinion, for Constitution. If these guys turn up, they're just going to get honestly ridiculed and stockpiled. And if John Malone makes this country, I will leave my James somewhere. This is a joke. And people are following this shit. People are honestly fucking hard following it. Can you not the fuck planet, please?
Yeah.
You might as well believe in fuck, like, come on, Gary, really?
Yeah. The answer to your question, Carl, I ain't forgot you, mate, is sovereign decrees can work for you personally if you're rich, if you're solvent, etc., etc. But if you're ever going to need the states in the future, or you may need the states in the future, I wouldn't personally have one if that was the case, because it takes you out of the system.
Yeah, and Gary, you might want to mention to him that we've got to have their own coat of arms.
Yes.
And a flag that represents whoever they are. And this shit is being duplicated and bought all over the place. It's not going to work.
And don't forget, them, that £50 doesn't get you a coat of arms. You've got to go and search for that yourself.
Exactly. And the disclaimer is it means it's null and void. You can't use it. And Jamie doesn't even know that. And they're selling this shit, and the people that are using it have spent 5 to 25. David Richards spent 5 to 25 grand. His last pays council tax. This is not working. They're not putting out how this works. No. If you want to follow the likes of Rob Bryan, Toby Lee, who are actually doing something to go against this shit. This is bullshit, and you're being scammed to the fucking max. And they're putting US fucking red fox stamps, charging a tenner for it. Orientation. It's not the fucking American Constitution. You don't need the Governor General or Postmaster General. It's absolutely bollocks, man. And it's not going to work, and that's why the claims have been rebutted time and time again. But we are the people that keep getting inboxes to say, can you help us? Can you help us? So, can you help us? Can you help us? No, what these people need to do is they're going to put out, they need to start helping the people that are selling this.
You wouldn't get a count. You wouldn't get a count with no arms for the 50 quid, does? But and like what we've got to do. I mean, there's some pilots on here at the moment, but I'll just ignore them. But what I am going to do is give a big round of applause for Peter Kyle, because he's had some stick off them the last few days, and he's stuck to his guns. Hopefully, he'll stick to them. If he doesn't and he goes back, we won't hold it against you, Peter. Not like all them who've attacked you. We won't hold it against you, brother. Whatever you do, you come or you don't. You follow us or you don't. But the pirates give you a load of stick the other day, and let's hope you realise that the minute you sort of say, "Oh, I don't know whether I want to do it or not," he attacked you like venomous, like snakes.
Nasty people. Yeah. Same as Colin Munro, he came back. He joined him and he came back. Fine. Colin Munro's mint. He's a lovely lad.
Yeah.
Met him times. He's a patriot. He's on the streets, feet on the streets, as we all are. The doers, people that do these things. We never put on our yellow vests and we do this. These people are claiming, and selling the shit, you hardly ever see them on the streets. They're not there. They're not available on hand to help people. And we get left with a backlash of shit, in fairness, because they put this stuff in and it doesn't work. So they message me, or they message you, or they message Nathan. It's not working. Anyways, I've put a sovereign decree and it hasn't worked. Well, it's not going to.
No. And that's what I mean. We're getting the backlash, but I'm saying, well, why are we speaking out about it? Because we're getting fucking backlash, that's why.
Yeah, I've got 80-year-old women and men messaging and saying paid for this shit, but it's not working. I'm like, it's not going to. Jamie's fucking sovereign decree didn't work because he put it in with an affidavit of truth and live life came out because you don't understand where you stand.
No.
Get with it. You can't do all of that.
No.
You've got to think about either a living woman, a living man, or you're going to do the legalese shit, which Tobin and can help you with, and the Legend Grow, or you've got to change the room and stick. It's not going to. You can't intermingle all of this shit. But people are buying it. Gary, they're buying it.
Yes.
We charge a penny. We've never charged a penny for our advice, and my inbox is inundated, and I'm assuming yours is.
Yeah, constantly. I mean, Paul's here in there, Paul Hart. We have to. Yes, don't work, mate. If you're following common law, you can never ever follow maritime law because it's different altogether. They want common law. We want common law in the Constitution. It doesn't work.
If John Monroe is saying, I'm building a company, where so I'm buying his company, and he's trying to execute common law in the Costa Coffee Cafe. That's not common law. Where's the people's decision? There's no decision. There's nothing. That's not people power. That's bullshit court. Yeah. And I'm sorry for the language, but that's absolutely bullshit court. You can't look at common law, Costa Coffee. Court. Oh gosh, Gary, I can And in the meantime, our inboxes are absolutely inundated with people who are saying, we've bought this, we've bought it, and it doesn't work. Well, it's not going to.
Carl, I'll tell you once more, friend. It doesn't work because it takes you out of the system. It takes you out of the system, brother. So if you need to claim benefits and you've done the sovereign decree, you won't get any because you've come out of the system. So that's what the sovereign decree does for you. But if you're wealthy and you've got businesses and you never need the system, then the sovereign decree may work for you. But not if you're the working class man who may need benefits, etc. in the future. They're no good for you because it takes you out of the system. So you can't claim benefits, etc. Housing. You can't do it if you've done a sovereign decree. It takes you out. So, but that's the last time I'm going to explain it because that's basically it.
I think you're 100% bang on, Gary, as well, because what people don't realise, yes, sovereign decree is great, but in fairness, you need a trust fund because if you're going to come out of the system, you've got to have enough money and enough power behind a trust fund.
Yeah.
And you put yourself out of it completely. You can't expect to claim on the NHS.
No.
With a decree. It's not going to work. It's never going to work for the vets. It's not going to work. Why are people so misguided?
Exactly. If you win the lottery tonight and you win 5 million, 6 million, yeah, the sovereign decree can work for you. Because suddenly you've become wealthy, you can afford to pay for all your stuff off the NHS, all your operations, etc. So crack on, come out the system. But if you're going to need operations, etc., or tablets because you suffer from PTSD, etc., you ain't going to get that funding if you've done a sovereign decree and you've left the system. You've got to pay for it yourself. This is what people ain't getting, and this is what they ain't telling you.
Yeah, exactly. They're telling you, oh, get a sovereign decree, stop paying your council tax, this, that, and the other. No, it's not going to work, Gary. You've got constitutional rights where you can withhold your taxes until we've got a lawful government. While there's a terrorist government, you can withhold your taxes. Article 61, local rebellion was invoked in 2001 by the Barons. You don't need all this crap, and you certainly don't need to pay for it because we'll send you out your documents for free. Why are people charging to put people in a situation which is going to be detrimental to them? This is what's driving us insane. I've got my inboxes full of people saying, "Oh, I've got this query, I've put a sovereignty query," but it's not going to work. Stop it. Why are these people promoting? Actually, they're not. What they're doing is they're scamming people out of money.
Yeah.
It's a complete scam, Gary.
And don't forget, like I've said, Emma, all these people who are following this scam and this treason against the Queen, etc., wanting to lock the Queen's head off, they're all being monitored by the police, etc. So are we. It ain't just them. We'll be being monitored as well. But everybody who's on their live stream supporting them and sending them money, they're going to leave a paper trail. They're going to leave the names. Yes, you're right, bang on, Andy, and all that. You are complicit, people, and try to fund these people, because there'll be a paper trail coming back to every single one of you. And you can believe all Andy, what Andy says, if you want. And that's fine. I ain't got a problem with it. I'm trying to tell you people the truth. You want to believe Andy, and you go down with that ship and you get a knock on your door off the police. You've been funding this thing. We're going to prosecute you. Crack on. Be my guest. I ain't going to suffer because I ain't never given him any money. I've been against him from day one. So I've got nothing to be ashamed of. I ain't trying to commit treason. But all you people out there who are funding him and who are following him blindly, I'm there who think he's going to do this, that, and the other, when he's going to do nothing other than get you into trouble and prosecuted. But you carry on. But remember again where you heard it from, where who tried to help you, who tried to tell you what you're all trying to do, what you are doing and committing by following this. And you'll see. And when you all get the knocks on your doors and that from the police, when it's all been, because it will be investigated. You've already heard Simon Bean, he's took it all into the police. They are investigating it now.
Gary, in fairness, we did transparency and Sunderland Labour in favour Burge and Sunderland police work for Labour, Sunderland Labour. We've had lots of phones and everything removed from us.
Yeah.
People don't realise you are now complicit in a crime of treason.
Yes.
And if you don't wake up and understand what you're doing and stand under what you're doing, you are going to be implicated in that crime, and you are as guilty as charged because you accepted it, you're going along with it. Yeah. And it's absolute rhubarb. Yeah. Stop it. You've got constitutional rights where you can actually defend yourself, and you can do it in a manner in which you don't need to be complicit, you don't need to conform to that level of treason. You've got goddamn given rights which were given to you to stop you paying their taxes. Why? Our government is traitors. Yeah. Why on earth would you want to go the other route and do that when you've got goddamn given constitutional rights where you can remove yourself from the system and stop paying your taxes accordingly? Yeah. People, honestly, they're being brainwashed by a bunch of lunatics, and who the hell would want John Mullo in power? Really? He's an absolute Fruit Loop. He's violent, he's aggressive, he's angry. When I mentioned Pesco, he came down, he was telling us to pack your bags, get out of the country. He doesn't even live in this country. He was nasty. He's a nasty person. He's not a nice person. And God forbid the day we are ruled by people like these, because I would love to think their notion would work, because we all want out. We all want out. But God forbid to be ruled by this person who's so vindictive and horrible and nasty. Oh, get out of the country, pack your bags, get out, I'm going to chop your head off. I've got $1 trillion on your head.
And don't forget now, like Wavy said, he's already looking at the next bandwagon that's coming along. He's telling people now they can claim compound for relatives that have been killed by cancer. And my beautiful wife's watching. How are you, darling? My beautiful wife. Do you know what I mean? So he's telling people that if your relatives have died from cancer, you can claim compo. I mean, he just jumps on anything and everything to do with money.
Of course he is, and he's claiming to get kids back from social services. If anything, they're on the criminal court because they've got actual court cases that have ruled social services unlawful and illegal. But he can sue now for cancer. We know for a fact that there's no cure for cancer because the 1938 Cancer Act prevents cure for cancers. Why the hell is it these people? They're just chatting shit. Gary Thrice and Zian, they're just still following them. This is what's more infuriating. People are following these people who've got no due diligence and don't even know anything about it. And they've got trolls like Jesus and everybody else working on their behalf to call them hoax their trolls out and all this crap. They're really joke. Absolute joke.
And Carl, I'm sorry, mate. There's no explaining to you. You just ain't getting it, mate. So, just if I was you, I'd just go back to King Krusty. You know, go and commit treason with all the other idiots. You know. So that's my advice to you, because you ain't getting what we're saying. You either don't want to get it, or you just full on Team Pirate. So crack on, brother. Not a problem, son. You go and commit treason. Not a problem. And you will see it was right all along. Evening Den is in the YouTube channel now. He's switched across for a bit. So yeah, you know, it's one of them things. These people will never learn. You know, what annoys me is the same people who are following this scam followed the scam with Tom Parsons, if you remember. It's the same people. There must be gluttons for punishment. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and Tom Parsons has been proven out is a wrong one. The Take Law Party and all that crap, wrong took money for himself. It's the same shit, different day, different people, but the same shit.
Sending dick pics to everybody, you know what I mean?
Of course, they've got one agenda, and that's their own. They self-confessed, like, you know, egoistical twats. Yeah. And that's not what we're part of. And if people don't like it, well, fuck up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I couldn't get two monkeys what they want to do. If they want to go and follow him, let them follow him.
Absolutely.
I'm good down here, brother. No, I ain't bothered if they want to follow King Krusty. I'm trying to help them. If they don't want to help them, then if they don't want us to help them, crack on, go and commit treason. Go and get a big massive fine and what have you for being complicit. I couldn't give two monkeys because I know I won't be getting a knock on my door for being complicit in a fraud that's trying to commit treason. So.
And it absolutely is fraud, Gary. I mean, Krusty's been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Andy lost he's contributed his house. So Andy has got to push this shit. It's buy one, get one free, to bug off of her. Like you say, it's a joke. But I don't know why people can't say it's a naval maritime flag that was offered like centuries ago. They've got to change the flag so they could trade in British waters. It's a maritime admiralty, admiral ship. The same ship we're governed by. We don't want to be governed by that. And King Krusty is saying he wants to come back and govern us under the same shit that we're governed by. No, I'm sorry, we didn't want to do that. You're from New Zealand, fuck off. We don't want to do you, and you fucking Costa coffees are a pile of crap. So go and fucking do your due diligence, because if anybody is knocking up or knocking around, you've got Frank and that. I'm disappointed in Frank. Frank is actually being part of this King Krusty Costa Coffee course. Yeah. He knows better than that. He's on the ball and he knows not a proper common law court. If they want to go for them, let them be. Do you know what I mean? How many times can we put the balls in? What balls these going? We get attacked all the time. And as soon as we defend ourselves, now we're on the attack. No, we're on the defense. Stop attacking us. stop saying we're bringing this back, we're bringing that. We're not. You have made your own warpath. Deal with your own shit. We will defend ourselves as a woman need to. You know, stop making it look like that we are on the constant attack. We're not. We've been banned for ages.
And all I will say to all the pirates who are on here and probably who watch the YouTube video and that is what Rick says, what everybody else said, what you've said, Em, we've all said it. Go ask Andy to show you the court case number for that Costa Coffee thing that he did when he had the complimentary slip. Ask him to actually not show you the complimentary slip, ask him to show you the actual court case number so you can phone up the Royal Court of Justice and verify that that is a case. That's all we're waiting for, and it's never been given us, and it will never be given to us because there wasn't one. It was a complimentary slip given to Krusty to get him out of the building because he was fed up on him.
That's exactly what it is, Gary. That was not a court. That was not. There was no members of the public. There was no jury. That is not how you convene a court under common law, under any law, or lawfully or legally. Whether it's the legal system or the law, that's not how you convene a court. You've got to have members of the jury. You've got to have, if you've got a righteous trial, you've got to have people there. And what he done was try to hand over some shit documents, and they were sick of him, so they gave him a compliment slip to say we've received your documents. There was no court convened. This is what's disappointing about Frank. He knows better. He knows that's not a court. He knows what a court entails. That was not a court. That was a bullshit scenario. And if that ever classed as a court, it was actually quite hilarious. Couldn't believe it. He's actually trying to do that, and he's trying to tell people that's the King's Bench. Oh my God! Anybody who knows anything about legal or lawful will just look at that and just knock their tits off, because that's a fucking joke court. And the last one was a joke court via a Skype call. Nah, that's never going to work. I'm sorry, not in a million years under any jurisdiction. It's a no common law. They know that's not going to work, and even legal. I mean, even it's bad enough the councils are scamming us, but these twats are making up even worse courts and trying to scam us for that. You couldn't make it up, Gary.
No.
What a joke. Unbelievable. Honestly, fucking nature. Costa Coffee Court. I'm going to go around and declare myself Queen's Bench. Fucking hell. I'm going to be the new Queen of England when you pass up.
Yeah.
Fuck me, man. What a joke.
Yeah.
God. But people who invest in this, I just don't get it. I really don't. It's sad, actually. It's sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But they're all pathetic. Okay. I'll speak to you later, Em. Thanks for phoning in, and I'll speak to you again soon, Bob.
You absolutely will, darling. Watch what you're doing. I hope you get your shit sorted soon, because honestly, you only King Krusty can fucking blag that shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Visas and all that crap. If he gets in this country, I'll be fucking amazed, mate. And hopefully he doesn't get anywhere near us, all the veterans. So hopefully he gets through this scam.
Yeah. So I'll speak to you later, Em, and I'll get a call or whatever when next time we're on or something. I think it's gone. I think Emma's gone. Oh dear. Well, that's about it, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. We've had Emma on, had a few things to say, but this is for Gordon and Tom. Oh dear. So this is for all you pirates who've come on again tonight. Shame on you, committing treason It's all going to catch up with you very, very soon. And all the patriots who are claiming to be patriots, but are pirates and are double agents. You'll all be outed very, very soon. So, here's my hand, here's my heart, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe, have a great week, what's left of it. And I'll speak to you all very, very soon.